Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. In today's video I have started constructing my new city in a new Lego room, and I'm building a table from scratch to put it all on. Later on in the video I will show you how I made my table, but first I'm going to explain how I planned it all and what was my brief and specification before constructing. For each update, I'm going to detail just how much I've spent on material and parts, and I'm also going to estimate the part count in Lego pieces, and I'll keep track of how many individual buildings and how many minifigures are in this city. So what to do when starting a project like this? Well, determining the build space is number one. How much space have we got? How much do we need to devote to storage or parts and shelving? All of that has to be figured out. Now, our new Lego room is a decent sized spare bedroom, and because I have a separate parts room, I don't need to store parts in here, which really frees up what we can do, as most folks have to combine the two, parts and display. I will, however, bring lots of the mocks I have built for conventions to store here, as they won't ever be broken up, and they're out of the way. They can go underneath the table. I also have lots of modulars and part built buildings which need to go in here, so I've already put shelves up for them. Annoyingly, I didn't take any photos of the room when it was empty. I don't know why, so I'm using this photo of the table just after it was finished so you can see the size of the room. Next, do I want to fill this room with as much surface space for a city? Do I want a U-shaped horseshoe build, or go against a wall? What's going to be best? Well, actually, what's best for me is smaller. I think a smaller table that we can reach the center of, and a layout that can be taken apart in sections, is desirable, as we want to be able to take bits of this to conventions around the UK, and it has to be big enough at least to take one loop of railway track as well. So I've made the decision to use the larger grey 48x48 stud base plates as my guide on everything, then that'll work out nicely. So that in turn has decided the measurements of my table. So I've decided to accommodate 6 base plates long by 4 base plates wide, and that roughly equates to 7.5 feet by 4 feet. So quite a big table, something like these for example. But obviously I'm not going to buy a store-bought one, I'm making a custom table. So in metric, a 48 stud base plate is 38 centimeters square, so 6 of those is 228 centimeters long by 4 base plates, which is 152 centimeters. So I need that table to be 7.5 foot by 4 foot, or 228 centimeters by 152 centimeters. That way I reckon it's affordable to complete a city that size, it's easier to get around, and if I want to display it, I can just take sections apart, like 4 base plates away at a time. Obviously, it needs to hold a fair bit of weight, so needs to be strong. The problem with some of the IKEA tables is actually the inside of the tabletops are hollow. They're just veneer covering a cardboard interior. So you've got to be careful about how much weight you put on them. And when you look at the more solid wood offerings from IKEA and other stores, it gets quite expensive. So that's why I want to build my own. It's cheaper and I can make it custom sized to fit what I need. I'm going to use sheets of board which are 18mm thick, which is a standard thickness in DIY stories here. I need 2 boards of thickness though, as I have my bottom layer, and then I need a second layer on top to create some landscape and make a deep enough canal. So I've been shopping around. Plywood is great, it's durable and easy to cut, but actually quite heavy and it's expensive. At our local B&Q, which is like a Home Depot, it's £44 per sheet, and a standard sheet is 240 centimeters by 120 centimeters. So 2 sheets is already close to £90, it's a bit expensive. MDF is easy to work with, it's not too expensive at £38 per sheet, but the problem with MDF at this size is it bends and warps slightly, so the more weight on top, I'm worried it'll sag in the middle. Next up is OSB board. It's the cheapest at £33 and it's really easy to cut and it doesn't bend like MDF. So I've actually decided OSB board it is, it's strong enough and it's cheap enough. The next problem is the dimensions. My car is a saloon just now, so it won't fit a whole sheet. I also need my table to be wider than the standard sheet, which is 120 centimeters, and I need 152. So I got the store to cut 2 sheets in a way that would give me 3 equal sections, which when put together will make 228 by 152, and the leftover pieces I can use on top for terrain. Luckily, I know a guy in the store and I got a cheeky discount, so each sheet cost me £28 rather than 33. That's pretty decent. I have at home a piece of plywood left over from something else that I'm going to use on the underside to give it stability even more and to glue it together. I'm just using a basic wood glue. I lined it all up and pushed the sheets together, and I left this for a bit until it was stuck on properly. Next, I screwed them together from the bottom to the top. The glue had already dried and was holding it, but the screws will really do the job and make this solid. I don't need adjustable legs, and you can get them from IKEA, but they're a bit expensive. I've gone for the non-adjustable ones at £2.50 each, and I got 8 of those. Dead easy to assemble, just screw them on. I measured them out to be equal on each side, and it was relatively simple to put this all together. Now the hard part, to turn this over. Luckily, Dad was on hand to help me flip it over, and it was a bit tricky, but we got there in the end. Based on the weight load guidance on the IKEA legs, we've calculated that the table could take 400 kilos of weight, so I'm pretty sure the Lego City will be fine on top. So far, I've spent £5 on glue, £3.50 on screws, £56 on OSB board, and the table legs were £20 for all 8, so that's £84.50 so far. But before I add my top layer, I need to figure out the layout. I want to include a river or, well, a canal in the city, and originally I wanted to make this quite big through the whole city, but it would take away too much real estate space for buildings, so I'm going to do it from the shorter side across instead. Because I have everything measured to the 48 stud base plates, I can divide the whole thing into 16 stud narrow plates for roads and the river, and 32 studs for the buildings, as most modulars are 32 studs in dimensions. So I'm drawing it all out on the wood alongside a drawing I've done too. I then got the railway out. I tried lots of different designs with sidings, 2 loops, but I settled on a very simple single loop because it takes up less space. The section on the right is the harbour water area, then there's a midtown with roads and a train station, and then up on top of these white boxes will be the skyscrapers and our financial district. So far I have 8 of those white boxes. They're from IKEA. The cool thing is they have studs on top, so it can be instantly integrated and built upon. They were £19 each, so that's £152, but that has saved me so much money on parts trying to build a raised section, and I can also use the boxes for my conventions this year to put the micro stadiums in. The train fits perfectly around this all, and the boxes are so high that when we put a bridge over the top, the train will fit underneath no problem. Great, I've done enough for today, I think. So I'm back in the room a few days later. I changed the layout slightly, and Dad has added some timber along the sides here for more support, and also we can lift the table a bit easier in future this way. I've also brought some sets and convention stuff to store underneath here, so it's been fantastic to get that done, creating some space in the garage. I've drawn out the floor plan here, as I don't have enough grey base plates yet, so as you can see it fits perfectly 4 base plates wide over here. I've got 2 streets planned with a bridge across the river and 2 other footbridges on each end. This will all be water. I have more blue base plates on order. They don't really have to be blue, but it makes sense to me to have them blue. The canal has a few 90-degree turns here, and it's not too wide. Some small boats can go down here. The bridges will have to be 16 studs across. This one will actually be the bridge from Ninjago City. I'm breaking it apart, but I'll make it a wee bit bigger. There's a row of modulars here with a road behind. I'll have a narrow 3 or 4 stud pathway along the waterfront here. In fact, this will be on both sides a footpath rather than roads. The modulars and the road will all be stuck onto grey base plates here, and I'll curve a section at the end here, over the bridge here of course. And then it'll end in this separate section. I will then build a cobbled street section which is 8 studs wide, so a single lane road, and maybe even one going along the back here. A footbridge or road will connect upwards onto this raised section here, and I think I'm going to put a church up here as well. Down here will be a train station. I'm going to either build it from scratch or use the brick bank as a basis for it. Then down here will be the hospital or library, I'm not sure yet. I may even get more white boxes to create some height here and make a tunnel for the train, or this could be left open. It would be nice to see the train going around though. These boxes are great, I'll be able to build straight onto the lid. A tunnel will be here, and then I'll put some struts to hold plates on top, and then this whole section will be under a section of plates. You won't see the railway underneath. I measured this all out so there's a wide enough tunnel entrance and exit here. I'll have a nice raised section with plenty of real estate space for the financial district, with a road running in the middle here all the way to here. I do have a drawing, I had it all planned out. It was much more different layout. The water section was larger with a longer river, and I had 2 road sections, and it's just not going to work now that I've changed the railway, because I didn't measure the size of the railway track properly. The curve of the track is a lot bigger than I measured for, so I'm going to have a rethink and a slight change of plan with the layout, but I'm sure that'll happen many times. And this video is getting a little bit long, so I'll start off the next one by detailing what I've spent so far and the part count. Thanks so much for watching until the end. I hope you're enjoying the build so far, and I'll see you next week. Bye!